10 greatest finishers in WWE history. This is a tall task, and it's something that I take very seriously. And I understand that lists like these are going to ignite debate. It's going to be a little controversial. You may have a different list. But the world of pro wrestling is built on a spectacle, the grand entrances, the larger than life personas, and the incredible athleticism all combined to create unforgettable experiences. However, nothing gets a crowd to its feet quite like a wrestler's finishing move. A great finisher is the ultimate signature of a superstar, a move that can end a match in the blink of an eye. Over the last decades, many finishing moves have become legendary in their own right. Here is a list at 10 of the greatest and most iconic finishers in WWE history. The Stomp, Seth Rollins' finisher, is a perfect example of how brutal something can be, yet so simple. This move is a visually jarring move, and it looked so devastating that WWE actually banned it for a period of time. That controversy only added to its mystique. The image of Rollins driving his opponent's head into the mat is one of the most believable and protective finishes in modern day WWE because he could literally hit it out of nowhere on anyone. Think about it. You only have to be on the mat. You have to be looking down at the mat, and then all of a sudden a dude takes his foot and drives it into the mat. One, two, three. Yeah, it's believable that it could put your lights out and that it could absolutely win a pro wrestling match. It's also been part of some of the most iconic finishes in WWE history and helping him win multiple titles and matches along the way. Swan Bomb. We want to talk about memories. We want to talk about moments. Jeff Hardy has done that because speaking of a beautiful and devastating top rope maneuver, Jeff Hardy's Swanton Bomb is in a class of its own. The high art, the high rise sensation that you see when he does a senton splash was a perfect finisher for the ultimate daredevil of WWE. The move was both visually a spectacular looking move, and it looked incredibly painful for both Hardy and his opponent. It instantly made him a standout star that has been copied by many, but never duplicated with the same reckless abandon. It's not very often that you see in pro wrestling a move that is truly identified and associated with a wrestler, right? Because people will reuse moves, but Swanton Bomb is truly in its own, and not a lot of people can pull it off the way that Jeff can. The Macho Man's elbow drop. Many wrestlers have used a diving elbow from drop to the top rope, but none other than the Macho Man has done it the exact same way with the majestic Macho Man Randy Savage kind of way. The pageantry of the move with his iconic point to the sky with a slight behold before absolutely dropping all of his weight from his elbow onto your chest is truly one of a kind. It was a thing of beauty that also looked like it could legitimately end a fight, a perfect combination of a pro wrestling finish. Because think about it, you're laying there, you're looking up at the stars, you're looking up at the lights, and then all of a sudden, this man who has charisma oozing out of him just drops all of his weight on you from a little bit of height. Yeah, I can see how that would be devastating. The spear. While the spear was popularized by Goldberg in WCW, it was arguably perfected in WWE. It became a signature finisher for two of the biggest stars in company history. I'm talking about Edge, I'm talking about Roman Reigns. For Edge, it was the explosive conclusion to his opportunistic rated R persona. For Roman Reigns, it was a move that has been leading the charge for him winning multiple world championships and endless, countless classic matches, cementing its place as one of the most important finishers in modern history. This is one that I think a lot, not just WWE, but just pro wrestling promoters in general, need to really keep an eye on because you don't want to lead it to just being a signature move or a transitional move like a DDT has or a super kick. Certain moves, let's just keep sacred and keep special. This is one of them, in my opinion. The People's Elbow. Look, without a doubt, it's one of the most ridiculous finishers in wrestling history, if not the most ridiculous one. It is without a doubt, though, one of the most exciting. The move perfectly captured the essence of its creator, The Rock, the most electrifying man in all of sports entertainment. From the theatrical setup to tossing of the elbow pad and the roar of the crowd, the entire sequence was a masterclass in sports entertainment. It wasn't a move itself that was devastating. It was the sheer spectacle of said moment. And the fact is, not everyone could have pulled off this move. It's The Rock. He is probably 90% of pulling off this move, just the way that he carries himself and the charisma and the persona of him. As a kid, I had two Rock elbow pads in which whenever I was wrestling or whenever he was wrestling, you best believe that I would throw them elbow pads across the room and deliver the people's elbow. The F5. Brock Lesnar is a once in a generation athlete, and the F5 is the ultimate showcase of his terrifying, freakish strength. The move sees Lesnar host his opponents onto his shoulders before spinning them out into devastating facebuster fashion. While it looks incredible to do it on normally sized opponents, what makes the F5 legendary is Lesnar's ability to deliver it to literal giants. The sights of him hitting a move on monsters like the Big Show and Mark Henry and others are some of the most awe-inspiring feats of strength in WWE history. Also, when he does it on smaller guys, it just looks crazy because he spins them so fast and you can tell that they hit the mat so hard. It's also one of those where you can see how a move from Brock Lesnar is only really believable from a guy like Brock Lesnar just because of the intensity and so forth and the force. Sweet chin music. Sometimes the setup is just as iconic as the move itself. That is certainly the case when it comes to Shawn Michaels' sweet chin music. The image of the Heartbreak Kid in the corner of the ring, stomping his foot and quote unquote tuning up the band, believe me, you knew as soon as you started hearing that sweet chin music that you knew it was about to be over before delivering a super kick. Look, it's an iconic moment. It's an iconic sight from an iconic performer. The move itself has become a staple of modern wrestling history, with countless superstars using the super kick in their arsenal. However, none other than Shawn Michaels was able to pull this off. And going back, there has been moves, finishers that have really transitioned as wrestling progresses into transitional moves. Super kicks are one of them, but yet Shawn Michaels still stands out because, well, he did it better than anyone. The Tombstone Piledriver. For a character named The Undertaker, a finisher called the Tombstone Piledriver was a perfect fit. The move itself was one of the most protected finishers in all of wrestling. For decades, it was a near certain match ender. The visual of the dead man hosting his opponents upside down before driving them headfirst into the mat was terrifying and believable. The fact is that only a handful of legends ever kicked out of the move at a WrestleMania. I'm talking about Shawn Michaels and Triple H and others. Look, it's a testament to how much they protected and respected the legacy of The Undertaker. In my opinion, when I see other wrestlers do the tombstone, I roll my eyes because it's like, dude, there's only Kane and The Undertaker, in my opinion, should be the only ones to ever allowed to be doing that move. And I stand by that. I just do. The RKO. Randy Orton took a foundation of the cutter and perfected its application, created the most meme-worthy finishers in all of wrestling history. The beauty of the RKO itself is out of nowhere potential. It knows the fans know when they see that move, it is over. That they see wrestlers rarely kick out of it. And Orton has delivered the move in countless spectacular ways, catching opponents in midair and creating a highlight reel of unbelievable moments. From his incredible RKO to Evan Bourne to his midair encounter with Seth Rollins' Stomp at WrestleMania, no finisher has produced more shocking and replayable moments. And it's a move that keeps fans on the edge of their seats because they know it can happen at any second. All right. The RKO. At number one, the Stone Cold Stunner. It's a perfect finishing move. It was quick, it looked devastating, and it could be delivered to anyone at any time from any position. The move perfectly encapsulated the rebellious, unpredictable nature of its creator, Stone Cold Steve Austin. What made the Stunner truly legendary was its application. The sight of Austin hitting a barrage of stunners on his rivals like Vince McMahon and The Rock became a defining image of the entire Attitude Era, making it one of the most iconic finishers of all time.